Hey, Egg Teacher Thoughts here with a mid-Thanksgiving break update. So I had to come up to the school to water some of our plants that we have going, and thought I'd give you a little bit of an update of the project that we've got going on behind us. So in one of our germination cells here, we have some tests going on some lavender seed. And let's see if we can find one of these little lavender guys. They're really kind of hard to see with those blue and pink lights. Trust me, there's one here somewhere. Oh, there he is. Well, where is he? Where is he? There he is, right there. Can you see him? Well, see, I just touched him. That is one of our lavender seedlings, and we're doing a germination test trial on a bunch of lavender seed that we have. Now, when you think of seeds, you think, well, gosh, I put a seed in the ground and I water it and a plant comes up. What you don't often realize is that with seeds, there's a lot more going on there. So in every seed, there is an embryo. And that embryo, the plant has developed it. So it took the egg cell from the plant and the sperm cell from the donor plant, and it put them together and it created an embryo. And as those cells began to divide, it went from a single cell to multiple cells to the point where it is not a full-grown, but at least a baby embryo, a small embryo. And then the plant says, hey, wait a minute, we're forming a seed. Everybody stop doing everything. And it put that embryo in suspended animation. Now with seeds, they don't live forever. If you've watched any sci-fi movie where they put people in suspended animation and they sent them up in space, invariably, they show you these suspended animation cells, and one of them's gone all like fungusy and bacterial, and oh my gosh, that person didn't make it. Same kind of thing, weirdly enough, happens with seeds. Not all the embryos survive the suspended animation part. So where the plant tells it to stop and that seed ripens and then it gets spread somewhere else and then it just sits there waiting for the perfect conditions. Not all of them survive that. And there's all number of reasons why that might happen. But what we're doing is we're testing and saying, hey, we've got all of this seed, specifically in this case, lavender. We put a certain number of seeds in the trays, so we know how many are in each one. And then we go through and we say, well, this many seeds that we planted came up, this many seeds didn't come up. What is our germination rate, or what is our rate of survival that we have? So that's what we've got going on right now. And once we know that information, we can plant more lavender seeds with a higher number of seeds per cell to compensate what we might not have coming up. So that's the test trial that's going on in there. And then we have some other seeds that we've put in there that we're hoping come up. I know the pansies have just barely started to split the outer casing of the seed. I can see just little hints that the roots are starting to come out of those. And then we did some fun ones like some cactus. Oh, those are going to take forever. Cactus seeds generally germinate fairly quickly, but are exceedingly slow growing. So we'll see what comes up from the cactus. Other than that, I think we've got some chives and maybe even some basil planted. And chives just need more time to grow. Those may or may not be ready for sale come springtime. And then the basil, we're gonna do some experiments with that, with winter growing of basil. But that's what we've got going on in the classroom as far as our germination cells there, doing some research with that. We're going to go out and take a look at the greenhouse and check up on that in just... We're back out in the greenhouse. This is our cold-tolerant petunia that we're continuing to do our research on. Looks like the internodal length is getting a little bit long. I think we need to get some supplementary light on there. And then we're getting into our experiment with our glow-in-the-dark firefly petunias. And these... they flopped over when we moved them into the new pots, and then we've got new growth coming up, which is looking great. These are looking fantastic. And this is where we're doing a fertilizer rate test trial. Now, I did have some questions of people saying, hey, well, why are you researching the fertilizer rates if you're using the Jax Classic? Shouldn't it all just be the same? And yeah, but these are a pickier plant, and I'm trying to find what rate of fertilizer can you apply that is going to provide the right nutrition with the lowest amount of cost. So I could go ahead and feed these at a rate of 1 tablespoon per gallon, and just say, hey, they're getting enough food, they're doing fine, 1 tablespoon per gallon. But that gets expensive. Jack's Classic is not exactly a cheap fertilizer. Because of how it's manufactured, it's using all the right ingredients. It's not using the cheap ingredients. So it's not using like urea as its source of nitrogen. It's actually using nitrite, which is actually more able to be absorbed by the plant or used by the plant more readily. Doesn't have to have a bacterial conversion there. So it's a more expensive fertilizer, and I want to see what is the least amount of fertilizer that we can apply to these plants and still have a good quality plant. So we're going to still have good growth, we're going to have good color, we're going to have good blossom, and we want to know what rate. Now, Jack's, when they go through and they give you a rate on the back of the commercial bag, they say you can apply it a half teaspoon per gallon, a teaspoon per gallon, or a tablespoon per gallon. So they give you 3 different rates. So we've taken those 3 different rates that they recommend, and they have different parts per million, and we're going ahead and we're just testing those. And yeah, these are petunias. They should theoretically react the same, but these are just a little bit pickier. So we're going through and we're doing our experiments on those. And some of these are the F1 generations. So these are seeds that I've planted all through here. These are all F1s. So their blossoms are a little bit different shaped than others. But we're testing the fertilizers on all of them. And there's my original mother plant. That's what's remaining off of that one. So, yeah, I mean, do we have some preliminary results? Well, let's take a look and see. So this is our half teaspoon per gallon rate. It's okay for a green color. It is a little bit light. You know, I would like to see this a little bit darker of a green. And then there's a teaspoon per gallon. And then there's a tablespoon per gallon. Yeah, that is definitely a result there. That's much, much darker. It's harder to see because we've got, there we go. Hey, look at that. You guys see the color difference between those two? Yep. So that is 1 tablespoon per gallon. This is 1/2 teaspoon per gallon. But there's definitely a color difference between those two. It's a little bit harder to see here under this artificial light. Hopefully you can see that there. So there's an early result there. So we've got a lighter green color on this one and a darker green color on this one. But yeah, that was the half teaspoon per gallon. And this is the 1 tablespoon per gallon. So those are much, much darker green in color. Leaves, a little bit better shape. Internodal spaces are about the same. Blossoms look good. And I haven't done the glow test on these. Here, shade that light out of there so that you can see. But yeah, much, much darker green here than over here. So anyway, that's part of the experiment there, is to see, you know, what can we get away with a rate for those petunias. As I kind of suspected, a heavier rate of fertilizer is actually going to produce a bigger, better plant. So we'll continue on with this. We're going to continue this experiment probably another month or two. But early results say, yeah, a heavier rate is going to be much, much better. So anyway, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update in the greenhouse, and you know why I'm up here. I had to water, so I had to come up and water all the plants today. They can't go the entire break without water. They need to be watered. But yeah, so still going on the experiment, still seeing some results, and things are looking promising. Anyway, hope you're learning something. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.